In high school, I took a weight training class, and that was my first attempt of trying to build muscle and bulk up in the gym. At 6 foot and 150 pounds, I was extremely underweight and self-conscious. I'd often wear a baggy hoodie and baggy sweatpants, even in the summer heat, just because I hated how my arms looked. For that first year in weightlifting, I used tools like MyFitnessPal and supplements like protein powder and creatine, and I'd even eat breakfasts that were like 1,500 calories, thinking that it would help me gain weight. For that entire year, I didn't gain any progress. I would quit constantly and I was never consistent. Counting calories just didn't really work for me. It kind of felt like a chore, almost like a second job. I was kind of confused, always looking at these people with amazing physiques, telling me to count calories, and I just couldn't do it. It was so time consuming. It was annoying. It took away from the enjoyment of eating my meal. But the progress only started coming in after that first year of failure when I stopped counting calories. And that might sound counterintuitive, but in this video, I'm going to explain why counting calories didn't work for me and why it probably doesn't work for you either, and you're not able to stay consistent with it. And actually, why it's hard to stay consistent with counting calories, and my new bulking method that doesn't feel like a chore, which makes eating food actually enjoyable and something that is sustainable in the long term. So, you need to understand that counting calories is completely unrealistic. The only time that you actually need to know the exact number of calories entering your body is if you're a professional bodybuilder. Likely, you're someone that used to be like me, who was extremely underweight and honestly just wanted to put on some decent muscle mass. You might not want to be the next Mr. Olympia. If that happens, sure, that's awesome. But your actual goal is to not feel like complete garbage every single time you take your shirt off, or every single time you have your arm hanging out and you're looking at it and you see how thin it is, just like that, every single morning when I'd wake up and I'd grab my phone. That's the exact sight I'd have, would be my long, skinny arm, and it would just start my morning off basically depressed. So understand that counting calories is not going to change that. What will is basically mentally knowing, I would say mentally counting calories, just knowing how much more you need to actually eat. This way, once you actually realize the amount that you need to gain weight and the amount that you normally eat, then you can start to figure out what sort of meals you need to eat. You can start figuring out when you've ate enough, and you won't need some app with numbers on the screen to tell you when you've actually done enough work. However, that's probably going to leave you with two big issues. One, it's hard to stay consistent with eating this much calories, and you probably know that because you've tried counting calories before and it hasn't worked because it's hard to stay consistent. And two, you might have anxiety actually about how to know when you've ate enough calories. So maybe you have been counting calories for a few days, or you've had a spree of counting calories for a week or two, but as soon as you fall out of the habit, it's like it completely stops. Picking it back up again and starting again is almost impossible, and you almost wish that there was an app that could just scan your food and tell you what it is. You don't want to take the eggs out and scan the packaging and then count it, and then take the full jar of pesto sauce and undo it, put it on the scale, empty it out, do the scale, grab the calculator, divide, subtract, multiply. Oh my God, how much food am I eating? You don't want to do any of that. And that's exactly why it's hard to pick back up again. It's because it's extremely difficult to actually do this long-term sustainably. And on that second problem you might have, without counting calories, you're probably thinking, what if I never gain muscle? Everyone says you need to count calories to gain muscle. And if I don't count calories, imagine I work out for 2 years and I never see any progress. And that's going to lead you to overanalyzing absolutely everything that you must do to make sure that you do end up gaining muscle and that nothing goes wrong. This is why you haven't even gone to the gym consistently yet, and you're thinking about supplements like creatine and protein powder and counting calories and all this sort of things, and you're tracking it on an Excel spreadsheet and you're putting it into ChatGPT when you haven't even been able to be consistent with the gym in the first place. So because you can't actually track calories in the long run, because it's just unrealistic, let that go. Understand that counting calories is pretty much only for professional bodybuilders because they need to know the exact amount that enters their body. Sure, you want the best physique possible, but you're not going to sacrifice your mental sanity and your actual enjoyment of making food to make sure that happens. In order to get a body that's better than pretty much anyone else out there, you don't need to count calories. You don't need to know the exact amount. Because if you can't be 100% perfect with it and make sure that you're hitting your macros every single day, then what's the point of it in the first place? To combat your anxiety about eating enough, understand that when you do consistently work out, you will look forward to having a big meal. You will naturally have a bigger appetite. This might not come immediately because maybe you're not a big fan of cooking so much food. However, I feel like that's caused by needing to count calories in the first place. However, at the end of a workout, let's say you work out in the evening, looking forward to that massive meal you're going to have is going to feel so, so good. And trust me, that's going to come naturally. And when that comes, you'll be hitting your calorie goal every single day without you even thinking about it. And the way to know if you're actually eating enough is by asking yourself, what do you normally eat in a day? Let's say in the morning you have a bowl of cereal, for lunch you have a sandwich, maybe a bag of chips on the side, and for dinner you have some leftovers, which can be completely random every single day. Well, just think about it. Let's say for breakfast, instead of just having a bowl of cereal, you have a bowl of cereal with a couple eggs, glass of milk, or well, you already have milk in the cereal, so maybe you won't do that, but a couple of slices of toast on the side as well. All of a sudden, that's an extra 600 calories and about 15 to 20 grams of protein just from adding some small things that you can easily fit down. Now, for lunch, what if you had another sandwich, a side of nuts? For dinner, what if you made a bigger bowl of pasta, some chicken and some rice and some vegetables? It's all about looking at what you're currently eating and just adding a little bit on top of it. You don't need to make a monstrosity of 1,500 calories with 2 breakfast wraps and 3 hash browns and a protein shake like I used to do in high school, because frankly, you don't want to eat that much food. You want food to still be enjoyable. So just understand how much you're eating and eat a little more than that. Every single night when you go to bed, you should have a full stomach. You should feel like you have ate enough. That should be your signal to know that you are bulking, is when you go to bed with a full stomach and you know, wow, I ate a lot of food today. Because when I look back on my meals, I know that I've ate a lot of food today. And you should be able to do the same. You shouldn't have to rely on an app that tells you a number and makes a graph for you to know if you've ate enough in the day. It's kind of like remembering what you had for breakfast. If you can remember what you've had for breakfast, you can probably make the judgment as if you've ate enough food for the day.